Please divorce your husband. The truth is, he is actually your daughter's. I finally managed to visit the high-end restaurant I'd always wanted to go to, without telling my husband. There, the hostess suddenly said this to us. At first, I was puzzled, wondering what she was talking about, but as I listened to her story, I started to turn pale. If you think it's a lie, please come with me. We were guided to a private room with VIP seats, the kind that rich people use. There, I learned the truth, and immediately took my daughter and fled to my parents' house. My name is Camila. At 25 years old, I was facing the biggest crisis of my life. Just recently, I discovered that the man I had been dating was cheating on me. And to make matters worse, he unilaterally broke up with me, saying he wanted to marry his mistress. Between me and him, we have a 3-year-old daughter, Mia. Although he paid child support and alimony in a lump sum, it was far from enough. I needed to find a job quickly and secure a stable income for Mia's sake. After numerous interviews, I was hired as an office worker at a local small business. It was then that Daniel, who was assigned to guide me, became my mentor. He, too, was divorced and had a similar situation to mine. Because of this common ground, we grew closer in our private lives, and there was one occasion when the three of us, including Mia, went out together. At that time, he treated Mia like his own daughter. If it's someone like him, maybe I can trust him. Just as I began to consider a future with Daniel, he proposed to me. That's when my new life began. Soon after getting married, Daniel asked me to quit my job. Mia would be happier if her mom was around. My income alone is more than enough for us to live on, so just leave it to me. What do you think? Daniel was highly trusted at work and was a central figure admired by everyone. He was entrusted with several major projects, and his salary was several times higher than mine. Indeed, we could live comfortably on his salary alone. And above all, it was wonderful to be able to spend more time with Mia, who had often felt lonely due to my busy work schedule. I happily chose to become a stay-at-home mom. Since quitting my job, I've been able to prioritize household chores, making the house look spotless. Mia smiled more often, and everything seemed perfect. Daniel was busy with work every day and came home late, but he always made sure to be back by 9 p.m. to say goodnight to Mia. Mia had grown very attached to Daniel and refused to go to bed until he returned. Sorry for being late every day. Mia always looks so sleepy. Thank you for your hard work every day, Daniel. Don't push yourself too hard, okay? We were a wonderful family who cared for each other. Since we couldn't spend much family time during weekdays, Daniel made up for it by doing lots of family activities on weekends. We would go to the local park or he would cook lunch for us. It was the epitome of a perfect family. But one day, I suddenly felt something odd about Daniel's behavior. It was that Daniel was trying to take Mia out alone too often. When we went to the park, whenever I suggested going along, Daniel would look a bit troubled. Camila, you can rest at home, you know? You must be tired from all the housework and taking care of Mia. No, I'm fine since I can do things at my own pace. Besides, I made lunch, so let's all eat together. Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm looking forward to it. Daniel tried to cover it up, but I noticed the small changes in his expression. One time, I asked him why he wanted to be alone with Mia. Daniel answered seriously. Mia is fond of me, but our time together is still short. I want to become her real father as soon as possible. When you're around, she tends to rely on you, so I thought it might be better for us to spend some time alone so I can work on it. Daniel seemed to be taking his relationship with Mia very seriously. That made me happy, so since then, I respected their time together. However, sometimes their outings would head in odd directions. Daniel once mentioned that they had eaten at a high-end restaurant known in the neighborhood. I was quite surprised, but Daniel laughed it off nonchalantly. It's important for kids to eat good food from a young age. It's called food education. That might be true, but if you're going to such a place, I would have liked to go too. If it's the three of us, our wallet will be empty. Forgive me. Daniel would always bring back sweets from the store after visiting the restaurant. These high-end restaurant visits happened about once every 2 months. I was envious, but Mia didn't seem to enjoy it much. Perhaps she still preferred sandwiches or pancakes over fancy restaurant meals. In this way, Daniel's affection had a slightly different direction. Yet, I still trusted Daniel. Then one morning while we were having breakfast, there was a news report on TV. It was about an incident far from our area, where a suspicious person was seen loitering around a kindergarten. I continued eating without much thought. However, Daniel turned red with anger. Kids are their parents' treasures. It's terrible to think of them being targeted by some creep. Yeah, it's scary. But it's not around here, so we're fine. That's not necessarily true. Creeps are everywhere, like cockroaches. It might have been a hateful news story, as Daniel said, but was it worth getting that angry? Daniel, his face flushed, noticed Mia's surprised expression and calmed down. Oh, sorry. But it worries me. Mia will soon be going to kindergarten, right? As Daniel said, it was time to decide on a kindergarten for Mia. I suggested a nearby place that seemed nice, but Daniel immediately shook his head. No, that place isn't safe. If a creep comes, there's no way to escape. Aren't you overthinking it? Better safe than sorry, right? Don't worry about the money, let's choose a better kindergarten. Don't you care about Mia? It felt like I was being accused of being a bad mother, so I had no choice but to agree. Daniel's excessive worry about Mia was becoming a bit annoying. But, they often say that fathers dote on their daughters, so maybe this is just how all dads are. In the end, all the kindergartens I had chosen were rejected, and Daniel decided on one on his own. And it was an impressive place. Apparently, it was a recently established kindergarten with top-notch security. The education level was high, and wealthy families were eager to enroll their children there. I never imagined I would be sending my daughter there. The tuition was shockingly high, but Daniel paid it without hesitation. I was truly in awe of his generosity. Thank you. I feel safe with her there. I think Mia will be happy too. Yeah, it's for our precious daughter. It's worth it. Daniel was very satisfied, feeling he had done a good job as a father. But the real challenge came after that. We only had one car, which Daniel used to commute, so I couldn't use it for drop-offs and pickups. So, I had to take Mia to kindergarten by bike. The kindergarten itself was perfect, with great facilities. However, it was a bit too far. I had to bike an hour round trip, rain or shine, and I still remember how tough it was at first, with sore muscles and all. I mentioned it to Daniel once in a casual conversation. But he looked extremely displeased. Are you saying you want to stop because it's too hard to make an effort for Mia? What kind of mother says that? No, that's not it. I just wanted you to listen because I was a bit tired. It's sad that Mia has a mom who finds taking care of her a hassle. Daniel muttered, making me feel like the bad guy, and cut off the conversation. At that moment, I became convinced that Daniel's affection was strange. Feeling distrustful of Daniel, I stopped consulting him about anything. He was already going out on weekends without me and coming home late on weekdays, so it didn't affect our daily lives. Since Daniel didn't bring it up, our awkward relationship remained unresolved. Despite all this, children grow up. Mia graduated from kindergarten and went on to a prestigious elementary school. She was initially confused by the new environment, but by second grade, she had made friends and seemed to enjoy herself. Even around this time, Daniel's focus on food education continued. Mia was reaching the age where she could appreciate good food. Knowing the taste of quality was important, but I worried about its negative impact. I often talked to Mia about her outings, but she never seemed enthusiastic. Isn't it always a bit gloomy when you go out to eat with Dad? Is it because he orders food you don't like? No, it's not like that. It was clear Mia was hiding something. But she wouldn't tell me. When I talked to Daniel about it, he insisted he couldn't think of anything. She always seems happy when she's with me at the restaurant. Maybe she finds you annoying? It's probably just a rebellious phase. Daniel laughed it off, but Mia's reaction wasn't something to be taken lightly. She probably had concerns she couldn't share with him. When I was a child, I would often talk to my mom rather than my dad when I had problems with friends or school. I decided to make time for Mia and talk to her properly. I told Mia about it a week after I first noticed something was wrong. Mia, how about we go out for dinner together this weekend? Your dad has to work, so he won't be home. Coincidentally, Daniel had an unexpected business meeting and had to work that day, which was rare. It was a perfect opportunity to talk to Mia without Daniel finding out and making things difficult. Okay, I'm looking forward to it. Mia's expression brightened a little. Maybe she would open up to me. I was so happy that I decided to splurge and made a reservation at the high-end restaurant Daniel often took her to. I had been saving up, so I could afford to be a bit extravagant this one time. The main goal was to talk to Mia, but I was also a little excited. When we arrived at the restaurant, the hostess greeted us. When she saw Mia, her eyes widened, and she walked over to me. Are you this girl's mother? Yes, I am. Is something wrong? Overwhelmed by her intensity, I was shocked when she said something unexpected. Please divorce your husband. The truth is, he is actually your daughter's. She leaned in and whispered something so unbelievable that I turned pale. Even if you say something like that all of a sudden. If you think I'm lying, please come with me. She led us to a luxurious private room, different from the one I had reserved. This is a VIP room used by company executives and other important people. Right now, your husband is dining next door. I could hear faint voices through the wall. Determined, I eavesdropped and nearly gasped at what I heard. My wife is hopeless. She's terrible at both childcare and housework. Compared to her, she's great. I can't wait to get divorced and marry her. I had noticed that our marriage was cooling off. But I never imagined the woman Daniel mentioned could be her. I lost my appetite and quickly left the restaurant with Mia. Daniel is the worst. I didn't want him to see Mia or me ever again. Mia seemed to feel the same, and when I told her we were going to my parents' house, she nodded immediately. Even though I hadn't realized what was bothering Mia, she trusted me as her mother. That was my only consolation. That night, back at my parents' house, Daniel called me incessantly. Ignoring him was scary, so I reluctantly answered. Why are you and Mia gone? And why does it look like you took off in the middle of the night? What are you trying to do? I got goosebumps from his unprecedented tone. I told him I didn't want to see him right now, but he didn't listen. You're at your parents' house, aren't you? I'm taking the day off work tomorrow and coming over, so wait for me. Don't you dare run away. He hung up rudely, and it took a few minutes for my heart to calm down. Holding the frightened Mia close, I asked my parents to hide her. I had them take Mia out around the time Daniel was likely to arrive. This way, she wouldn't be in danger. The next day, my parents took Mia out early in the morning. Daniel rushed to my parents' house before noon, banging aggressively on the intercom. Realizing I was alone, he clicked his tongue in frustration. I lost my temper yesterday. But suddenly disappearing like that is cruel. I was worried about you and Mia. His words, feigning parental concern, made my skin crawl. Because I knew his true feelings. From what I heard at the restaurant. Were you really worried about me too? What? Of course I was. What are you talking about? I glared at him directly. You seem to have someone else you love. Don't be ridiculous. Why would you think that? I operated my phone and played a recorded voice. My wife is hopeless. She's terrible at both childcare and housework. Compared to her, she's great. I can't wait to get divorced and marry her. I had quickly recorded the conversation I overheard at the restaurant. Daniel's face instantly stiffened. How did you get this? Were you there? Quiet. There's more to this recording. I spoke in a low voice, making Daniel shrink back. In the silence, the recording continued. When I met her, I thought it was fate. It hasn't happened yet, but I'm certain we'll be together someday. Then, after a pause, Daniel clearly said the name. I can't wait, Mia. The recording ended there. I couldn't stop the goosebumps. The client he was entertaining probably thought Mia was a mistress. He laughed it off as a joke. But it's understandable. No one would think he was talking about his own child. What does this mean? Were you really thinking of a child like that? No, you've got it wrong. Daniel began to panic and spew nonsense. I meant that Mia will be ideal when she grows up. She'll definitely be a beauty. A woman everyone will turn to look at. Thinking that is fine, but saying you want to marry her or divorce me is just wrong. That's all part of a parent's love. If you can't accept it, it's because you don't understand. He seemed to believe his thinking was absolutely right. Realizing that further discussion would lead nowhere, I pulled out the prepared divorce papers. I can't understand your thinking. We can't stay married. Please divorce me. Divorce? What about Mia's feelings? That's your fault, isn't it? Last night, Mia told me why she didn't seem happy when going out with you. At first, Mia hadn't noticed Daniel's abnormality. But as she grew, she realized his behavior wasn't that of a normal father. Mia had been rejecting Daniel since before she started elementary school. Despite that, Daniel kept taking her to private rooms at high-end restaurants to spend time alone with her. Mia had tried to ask for my help multiple times. But every time, Daniel would say something like this. Are you sure you want to worry your mom over a misunderstanding? If we get divorced, we won't even have food for tomorrow. Your mom would be sad, wouldn't she? He had kept a young child in line with such heartless words. Thinking about Mia's feelings at those times made my blood boil. But instead of showing remorse, Daniel got even angrier. This is between Mia and me. Stay out of it. He snatched the divorce papers from me and immediately signed them. Now you're really a stranger to me, Camila. I'll take Mia. His audacious demand left me speechless. Did he really think he could keep Mia? No way. I'm not giving her to someone as dangerous as you. Then tell me, can you support Mia as an unemployed person? Tuition isn't cheap, and neither are living expenses. I was weak when it came to money. As he said, our household had been supported solely by Daniel, and I had no financial capability at the moment. I can hire a lawyer and discuss this thoroughly. I'm willing to spend whatever it takes to get custody of Mia. Confident of his victory, Daniel looked down on me with a smug expression. In a month, we'll discuss Mia's custody. I'm not a monster, I'll give you time to say goodbye. I'll file the divorce papers, so enjoy your last moments with Mia. Holding the divorce papers, Daniel left my parents' house. He was serious about taking Mia from me. His obsession sent chills down my spine. I quickly contacted a private investigator. At the time, I never imagined I'd uncover such incriminating evidence. In a month, Daniel wouldn't be the one laughing. Justice would be served to the bad guy. A month later, Daniel contacted me. He said he was coming to my parents' house again, so I hurriedly suggested another location. I didn't want to cause trouble for my parents or the neighbors. We arranged to meet at a nearby cafe. The cafe had a hidden charm and wasn't very crowded. I figured Daniel wouldn't cause a scene in a public place. Daniel agreed to meet there, so we arranged the meeting. I arrived first and was sipping my coffee when Daniel walked in with a man in a suit. Sorry to keep you waiting. Did you enjoy your last moments with Mia? I looked up, and the man with him politely bowed. A distinctive lawyer's pin gleamed on his chest. I've brought a lawyer. you can't run away now. Daniel leaned forward, eager to get down to business, but I calmly interrupted him. Why don't you order something first? Don't disturb the cafe. Annoyed, Daniel clicked his tongue and ordered a coffee. The waitress promptly brought his order. Thank you for choosing our cafe. Here's a little something from the house. Daniel sipped his coffee, glancing sideways at the service provided. The next moment, his eyes widened in shock. And no wonder, because what the waitress brought out wasn't a treat, but a voice recorder. Without hesitation, the waitress pressed play. The recorder played loudly in the cafe, broadcasting Daniel's vile remarks from the high-end restaurant. Daniel, eyes wide in panic, quickly stopped the recording. Surprised? That's proof of the things you've said to Mia at the restaurant. The hostess helped me. That old hag, how far will she go to ruin me? Sweating nervously, Daniel gripped the recorder tightly. And then turned on the waitress. And you, how could you get involved in a family matter like this? Then, Daniel finally got a good look at the waitress and froze. His mouth moved awkwardly before he managed to speak. Kinsley? Is that you? Yes, it took you long enough to recognize me. Kinsley, who had been working as a waitress, looked down at Daniel with disgust. She was the very weakness the investigator had found. Kinsley was Daniel's ex-wife. Before he married me. No one knew Daniel's past better than her. According to the investigator, she knew some critical information. So I asked for her cooperation. She readily agreed. And even lent us this privately owned cafe, which I deeply appreciated. Under Kinsley's fierce gaze, Daniel was as still as a frog being stared down by a snake. Why are you here? Are you planning to take another lover from me? Even though he was trying to sound tough, his voice cracked, lacking any authority. I faced Daniel firmly. Kinsley told me everything. Apparently, your last divorce was for the same reason. What are you talking about? There's no proof of that. There is proof. The contract you signed when you got divorced. Kinsley slammed some papers onto the table. It was a restraining order preventing Daniel from approaching Kinsley's daughter. You were obsessed with her daughter when she was in kindergarten, and now it's happening again. It's disgusting. No. It's just that my parental affection was misunderstood. If you keep making excuses, should I contact the lawyer from back then? I'm sure he has more detailed records. Daniel cowered under her glare. He seemed to be thinking of a way to recover, but it was futile. Why is Kinsley siding with you? She's not even involved. She's not uninvolved. She's my regular customer. Kinsley smiled at me, and I nodded. I had been visiting this cafe almost every day for a while. It was during the time Mia was in kindergarten. The commute to the distant kindergarten was tough, and I was physically exhausted. So, I found this peaceful cafe and would stop by for coffee and a slice of cake on my way back. I started this cafe as a hobby, but there were tough times with few customers. That's when Camila started coming regularly, and we became friends. Kinsley, a mother with a daughter slightly older than Mia, was someone I could talk to about parenting. I never imagined she was Daniel's ex-wife. The world is indeed small. So, when the investigator revealed their connection, I was genuinely surprised. But it became the key to protecting Mia from Daniel. That's unfair. Bringing up the past is inappropriate. I make more money, so custody should be mine. Daniel, desperate, started to cause a scene, while the lawyer beside him buried his head in his hands. Apparently, he hadn't been informed about Daniel's past. If he had known, he wouldn't have taken on such a losing case. Realizing that custody was now hopeless, Daniel gritted his teeth. Please, Camila. Mia is my destined partner. Please give me custody. No matter how much I refused, Daniel wouldn't stop begging. As I stood there, uncomfortable, Kinsley called the police. He did the same thing when he was begging me for forgiveness. He hasn't changed at all. Let's get him out of here. Don't be ridiculous. This has nothing to do with you. Daniel struggled as the lawyer and I held him down. The police arrived quickly, and Daniel was promptly taken away in a patrol car. With the storm gone, Kinsley and I shared a relieved laugh. Good job. Want some cake? I'd love to, but I think I'll go home today. I want to see my child. I promised to come back with Mia soon and left the cafe. The satisfaction of protecting my child left me feeling full. As a newly single mother, I began spending my days at my parents' house, focusing on raising Mia and job hunting. Although Daniel was released shortly after the incident, a restraining order was issued to prevent him from approaching Mia or me, ensuring he would never come near us again. With the police on our side, I felt more secure. However, the world is still a dangerous place. One day, Mia came home from school with something to say. Mom, there's been a strange person hanging around the school recently. The teachers are patrolling, and they asked the parents to help too. Apparently, a suspicious person had been spotted in our area, similar to those we'd seen on the news before. The PTA requested parents to patrol during drop-off and pick-up times. 2 days into these tense times, the situation took an unexpected turn. I received a report of a sighting in my assigned area. A child on their way home alerted me, and I rushed to the spot. There, hiding in the bushes and peering at the school, was a filthy-looking man. Just as I was about to call out, I saw his face and was shocked. Daniel? Is that you? The man, startled, fell to the ground. Seeing his face confirmed my suspicion. The person who had been lurking around was Daniel. The man who once raged against perverts had become one himself. I felt more pity than anger or fear. It's not what you think. I wasn't trying to hurt Mia. Please believe me. You were so angry about perverts on the news. How is what you're doing any different? Daniel trembled at my words. His voice, filled with fear, came from deep within. That incident was about a creepy guy's bad intentions. I'm just a father who loves his daughter. From my perspective, and everyone else's, you're both disgusting, selfish criminals. Ignoring his attempts to speak, I pulled the security alarm the school had given us. A loud sound blared, and Daniel stumbled away. But other parents, hearing the alarm, quickly gathered and apprehended him. Why? I was just watching. I'm Mia's father. Daniel, handed over to the police again, screamed without caring about the onlookers. Suddenly, he fell silent and stared at something. Following his gaze, I felt my blood run cold. Mia was standing among the crowd. Before I could react, she pushed through the people and ran to Daniel. Mia! You still love your dad, don't you? Daniel, spreading his arms in joy, but Mia stopped just out of his reach. Mia? Don't be shy, I'll give you a hug. You're really disgusting. Don't ever show up in front of me and Mom again. I hate you. Mia shouted clearly, loud enough for me to hear. Hearing that, Daniel froze as if time had stopped. Then, looking utterly defeated, he slumped down and was loaded into the police car like baggage. As the police car, sirens blaring, drove away, I ran to Mia. She smiled with satisfaction as I hugged her. I said it. I feel so much better. You were amazing, Mia. But please, don't do anything dangerous like that again, okay? The Mia I thought I had to protect had become so strong without me realizing it. Seeing her grow made me feel a bit lonely, but I knew it wasn't just me. After this incident, Daniel ended up in jail. The story of a suspicious person at a prestigious school turning out to be a former parent with strange tendencies grabbed the public's attention. For a while, it was covered on TV, and with Daniel's name being reported, he no longer had a place in society. Despite having a good reputation at work, his credibility plummeted. He was immediately fired, losing his job. Additionally, he had to pay the alimony and child support in a lump sum, which we used to move away. I felt bad for Mia, but we had to transfer her to a new school. However, Mia kept smiling even when we talked about transferring schools. I can stay in touch with my friends, and I'm excited about the new school. As long as I have you, Mom, I'll be fine anywhere. Encouraged by Mia's cheerfulness, I found a job as an office worker at a small business after moving. With no more worries about living expenses, I finally felt at ease. Now, Mia has adapted to her new life and made new friends. She still keeps in touch with friends from her previous school and seems brighter than before. Even though juggling work and housework is tough, my days are fulfilling, and I feel refreshed. My parents' house and Kinsley's cafe are just a bus ride away. So I visit occasionally to relax. I also visited the high-end restaurant to thank them for their help with the incident. When I tried to give the hostess a box of sweets, she refused with a smile. I only acted to see my customers' smiles. Please come again as a customer and enjoy our food. That would be the greatest thank you. Impressed by her kindness, Mia started saying she wanted to become a hostess like her. If she grows up to be such an admirable woman, I would fully support her. Now, those chaotic days feel like a distant memory, and I am filled with happiness. As Mia's mother, I am determined to continue doing my best for her happiness.